Now using the man object, I am calling the showData method, and using the child object, I am calling the showData method. Now I am creating one more object, that is test is equal to person. So what I am doing, I am creating another object called test of this class person. So using this test object, I am calling the showData function. Using the test object, I am calling the showChild function. Again, I am calling showChild from the man object. Now what is that I am trying to show you in this program is, you can create objects whenever you want. See, now it is not that you have to create objects in the beginning itself. See, I have created one object here, I have created an object here. So now you can see where and all I have created object. One is this I have created an object here. I have created one more object here. Then I have created one more object here. Then using man.showData, what I'm doing, I'm calling this method, I'm calling this method. Again at the end, I'm calling this method. So this is a simple example of classes and objects in Python. Did you, just like I gave you the example, no? You will have one remote control and all three of you will use the same remote control. And all three of you are objects, and remote control is a method. So if I come to your house, I can also become an object and use that remote control method, if you allow me to come. So this is a simple program on class and objects. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, nice. Next, we'll go to the next this thing. Okay, now little complicated program. Okay, first take down this program, then I tell you how this program is working. Okay, first take it down, write it down in your hand. Okay, so last class you people are asking me why the requirement of self. You are asking me, no? So now we will clearly understand what is the usage of that self. Okay, now concentrate here. One line by line I will show you how this program is working. Okay, so you know what is class employee. This I don't have to explain. So you have created a class called employee. In this class there are two functions. This is one function and this is another function. Now the second function is pretty clear. Display underscore employee. It is pretty clear. So you know that display underscore employee is the name of the function. But the first function, there is some new word which is coming. Underscore init. Underscore, open the brackets, close the bracket, self, comma, a, comma, b. It seems to be confusing, but it is not at all confusing. It is very simple. Now, def stands for definition. Init, INIT, is a user-defined function in Python. System-defined function in Python. What is the meaning of system-defined function? This function is defined by the Python only. You have not defined it. This function is called as a constructor. What is it called?
Constructor.
Whenever you see this function name, INIT, underscore, INIT, open bracket, close bracket, whenever you see this function in Python, think that it is a constructor. What is a constructor? I will explain you later. Just understand that it is a constructor. Okay. Now, this function starts here and ends here. So this is the body of the function. So it starts here and it ends here. This much is the function. And your display function is this much. So this particular class employee has got two functions. One function is called display underscore employee, and the first function is called as a constructor function. Is this clear to all of you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, what are you doing here is emp1 is equal to employee. Now, you know that when I give something like this, an object called emp1 is created of which class? Employee class. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, in this constructor, there are two variables, a, comma, b. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
A comma B and self. Now forget about self for now. This A comma B are called as parameters. What are they called?
Parameters.
I try to write it. They are called as parameters. Very, very important. Just remember this. They are called as what? Parameters. Okay. Now, EMP1 is equal to employee. I am passing Balu, comma 20,000. This Balu, comma 20,000. These are called as arguments. What are they called? Arguments.
Arguments.
These two are called as arguments. Is this clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now what happens when I say EMP1 is equal to employee Balu, comma 20,000? This Balu will go and get attached to A, and this 20,000 will go and attach to B. That means the value of A, the value of parameter A becomes equal to Balu, and the value of parameter B becomes equals to 20,000. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Understood? Very good. Now, this self, what you are asking, this self actually means EMP1, because what is the meaning of self? Current object. What is the current object which is being created now? EMP1, correct now? So current object is what? EMP1. So this EMP1 becomes self. That means for the EMP1 object, the value of A is Balu and the value of B is 20,000. That is being stored in self.name and self.salary, which means EMP1.name is equal to Balu and EMP1.salary is equal to 20,000. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
All of you understood, or you want me to diagrammatically show you?
Sir, one more.
Yes.
Okay, I'll show you. Don't worry. I'll show you once again. So what I'll do is I'll open Word and I'll explain it to you. Okay. So now what I have done, I have created one class. Okay. So this is my class. So in this class, I have two methods. One is called the init method, and the second one is called display employee method. Display underscore employee. Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now, so I have told you earlier that a class will have two sections. The first section is the property section and the second section is the method section. Correct? So
Yes.
what is the name of the class? So this name of the class is employee. Let me write that also. The name of the class is employee. Now, till here it is clear. Now what I am doing, I am telling EMP1 is equal to employee, which means what? There is an object which is being created. So what is the name of the object? The name of the object is EMP1. So EMP1 is now the object of this particular class employee. So when the object is created, I am passing the value, that is Balu and 20,000. So this is one value. This is a string value and this is an integer value. So what happens? This Balu enters into this parameter called A, and this 20,000 will enter into parameter called B.
B.
And what is self? Self is nothing but EMP1. So this means this is DEF underscore INIT underscore EMP1 comma BALU comma 20,000. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So what is the meaning of self? current object. Which is the current? Now we are working on which object now? The object which we are currently working is EMP1. So this self means it is EMP1. Now what I am doing, self.name is equal to A. Very, very important. Now what is the meaning of self.name? See here, name and salary are two variables. What are these variables? These are instance variables. So what happens here? Two variables are created. One is name and second one is salary. Two variables are created now. Now what I am doing, I am giving this command like this: self.name is equal to name. Self.name is equal to A. That means what? The value of A will be transferred to self.name. What is the value of A?
Balu.
Very correct, 100%. You are right. So self.this, that means this name becomes equal to Balu. And the salary becomes equal to 20,000. For which object? EMP1 object.
EMP1 object.
Because self is currently which object? EMP1 object.
EMP1.
Next, what is happening? You see, EMP2 is equal to employee Kiran, 5,000. So now one more object you are creating. Now the name of this object is called EMP2. So one more object I am creating. So name of this object is called EMP2. Now what I am doing, for EMP2 object, I am sending two values. One is Kiran and one is 5,000. So this Kiran will be accepted by A, 5,000 will be accepted by B, and the self will be EMP2. Understood?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now I am telling self.name is equal to A, self.salary is equal to P. So here name will become equal to Kiran and the salary will become equal to 5,000 for which
5,000.
object? Two objects. So that means there were only two instance variables, name and salary. For EMP1, the name was Balu and salary was 20,000. For the same instance variable, name was Kiran and salary was 5,000 for object EMP2. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now what I am doing? EMP1 dot display underscore employee. So what I am doing here? From the EMP object, from this object, I am calling this method. Which method? Display underscore employee method I am calling. So when I am calling this method, what I am giving inside the display underscore employee method, see again I am putting there self. When I put self there, what does it mean? This EMP1 becomes replaced with self. So this becomes define display underscore employee EMP1 print EMP1 dot name comma EMP1 dot salary. So what is EMP1 dot name? Balu. What is EMP1 dot salary? 20,000. Similarly, next EMP2 dot display underscore employee means this EMP2 will enter into self, which means this becomes def display underscore employee EMP2 print EMP2 dot name comma EMP2 dot salary. So it will print Kiran and 5,000. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Clear? Really, have you understood very clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I told you that this method def underscore init underscore open bracket close bracket is called as what? I gave you a unique name. What is it called?
Constructor.
Constructor. Remember this word, constructor. What is a constructor? A constructor is a method which will construct the value of an object. Is it not constructing the value of an object?
Yes, sir.
And this method will be called as soon as an object is created. See now you forget about this constructor method for some time. You take this method, display underscore employee. This method, if you have to call, you have to use a dot operator. You are telling emp1 dot display underscore employee. See, in the previous example also, whenever you want to call a method, what you will basically do? You will basically use the object name dot method name, correct? No? But here you are not calling this method. Are you calling this method def underscore? Are you telling emp1 dot init something like this? No, you are not calling this method, correct? No?
Yes, sir.
So this method is called automatically. When will this method be called automatically? As soon as an object is created. When the object is created means where the object is created in this statement. emp1 is equal to employee means object is created. As soon as the object is created, this method is called. When the method is called, these two arguments are passed to parameters, and these two parameters are actually taken inside the method, and they are assigned to name dot salary of this particular object. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But the second method is not a constructor method, it's a normal method. Once the object is created and the values are initialized, the second method automatically I'm using the object, I'm calling the method emp1.displayEmployee, emp2.displayEmployee. So what is a constructor? A constructor is a special method or a special function used in Python for creating an object. Point number one. A constructor is a special method in Python which is automatically called when an object is created. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So how do you define a constructor method? To define a constructor method, any method in Python, whether it is a constructor method or a simple method, it must and should have def. But only thing is, simple methods will have names like display underscore employee, display person, display child. But if at all a method has to be called as a constructor method, the name of the method must and should be underscore underscore init underscore underscore. Init stands for initialization because it is initializing the value of instance variables. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
All of you understood this?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Can
sir.
you explain one by one? Aritra, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Can you explain to me, Aritra, now how this program is working?
Sir, employee is class name, then
Very good.
define underscore init underscore. This is a constructor.
Very good.
After that, self comma b.
Self. That is, what is it called? Self comma a comma b. What is it called?
A and B is parameters.
Self is also a parameter.
Self also parameters.
Okay. One thing I forgot to tell you, whatever you put, all these three things are parameters. Self is a parameter, A is a parameter, B is a parameter. All the parameters are separated by a comma, which means that value should come from some place. From where it is coming, self value is coming from object, A and B values are coming from here. Okay, now go ahead. A is a parameter, Balu is a value. So that means Balu is an argument, A is a parameter.
A is a parameter.
Good. Go ahead. So what is the value of A?
Balu. And B is 20,000.
And what is the value of self?
EMP1.
EMP1.
EMP1. Don't forget that. Value of self is EMP1 because it is a current object.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now self dot name is equal to A means what?
EMP1 dot Balu. Then self means again EMP1 dot 20,000 salary.
Correct. See, self dot name is equal to A and self dot salary is equal to B or given, no? So the value of A is what? Balu, and the value of B is 20,000. that A is assigned to a variable called name and B is assigned to a variable called salary of EMP1 object. So that means what is happening here? I told you, two variables are created. One is a name variable and salary variable. This name variable will get this value. The salary variable will get this value for this object. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here, one thing I think what you are getting confused is, see, in C, first you will declare the variable and then give the value. First you will say integer A, then you will say A is equal to 10.
Hmm.
No?
Mm-hmm.
Say integer A is equal to 10, whichever you call it.
Hmm.
You will either say like this, or you will say A is equal to 10. Before that, you would have declared this variable integer A. No? But in Python, what we are doing now, so this is where one good thing is, when you say self.name is equal to A, and you are not declaring the type of that particular variable. See, what is the value of A? Balu, correct, no?
Balu. Mm.
So automatically that name variable is treated as string. You don't have to give a string. Now here salary is an integer value because it is getting the value from B and B is 20,000. So automatically the salary is treated as integer.
Hmm.
So this is the beauty of Python. That is why I told you, you don't have to be having a programming knowledge to basically code in Python. Because if you want to do C programming, suppose, let us take an example. You want to store two variables in C. I will show you now. Now you will understand it very clearly. So what you will do, you will say hash dio.h. Then you will say void name. You will say string name is equal to Balu and the salary is equal to 20,000. So that means you should know that this name, if it has to store this value, it has to be declared as string. If this 20,000 has to be stored in salary, it has to be declared as integer.
Yes.
But what is happening in Python is you are not telling anything there. You are neither telling int nor you are telling string. The moment this Balu enters into name of the employee one object, it knows that it is string. So automatically it will take it as string.
Hmm.
And automatically this will take it as 20,000. And it will take it as integer. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
That is why sometimes Python we call it as a free flow language. Free flow. That means you don't have to have programming knowledge in order to work in Python because it is free flow. You can just keep on typing. You don't have to worry what is integer. Suppose, let me give one more example. अगर मैं ऐसा बोला 20,000.8999999, that means what happens? Automatically the salary will become float.
Okay.
Automatically it will take it as float. Why? Because I am passing the floating value. Understood?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Suppose if I make suppose let us say that I do something like this. I will say instead of this, I'll delete all these things. I'll add one more string. I'm passing Balu also as one string and you also as one string. So the salary also will become string. So what value you are passing, that value's data type is actually assigned to the variable which is being created. That is the beauty of this language. You don't have to exclusively declare it.
Yes, sir.
Understood, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Aritra, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So EMP1 is equal to employee emp2 is equal to employee, which means two objects have been created. One object is called employee1, another object is called employee2. Now, using the employee1 object, I am calling the display employee method. And using the employee2 object, I am calling the display employee method. So like this, I can call any number of methods. See, now where do we use? Suppose you are creating one banking application using Python. Now what I will do, I will create one method called open account. All of you will open the account now first. So you open account, what and all details you will give? You will give name, you will give age. Sorry, you will not give age. Automatically it will take age because age is a derived attribute. You will give date of birth, you will give PAN number, you will give address, proof of address, everything. So all those things I'll put it in a constructor. Now when I create an object, for example, what is that object name? Let us call this a class as bank. I will call this class as bank. Suppose if I say Aisha is equal to bank and I'll pass the values, all the values gets initialized in this constructor.
Yes, sir.
Suppose if Aritra wants to open an account, one more object called Aritra will be created. As soon as an object is created, that constructor is called, all the values get initialized. Understood? So only one constructor function is there in that banking application. As soon as the new customers are getting added, what happens? Every time a customer is getting added, that constructor is called, and every time when a constructor is called, the values are getting initialized to that particular object. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
This is the use of constructors in object-oriented programming. It's a standard interview question because they'll ask you what is a constructor. Two important definitions. One is a constructor is a special method. What is it? It's a special method.
Special method.
It means it is created by the Python language only. It is not created by the user. And that special method will always have the name underscore init underscore. Okay, so this method will be called as soon as an object is instantiated. Now, this is a too complicated word for you. Actually, in object-oriented programming, we will not use the word created. We will use the word instantiated. Instantiated means an object is created. Understood? It's both one and the same. Okay, so when I say EMP1 is equal to employee, what does it mean? EMP1 object is created. But in object-oriented programming terms, we say that EMP1 is instantiated. EMP2 is instantiated, which means that EMP1 and EMP2 are created. Got the concept?
Yes, sir.
So constructors basically help me to define the values to an object, which is very important. And self is used to show the current instance of an object. A and B are called the parameters. And during the creation of object, I'm going to pass the value for those parameters with the help of arguments.
Arguments.
Any doubts here? Shall we go further? Okay. Now you see, init is a reserved method in Python class. What is it called? Reserved method or a special method? What is it called?
Special method.
Special method. It is called a constructor in object-oriented terminology. This method is called when an object is created from the class and it allows the class to initialize the attributes of the class. So what is the meaning of attributes? Attributes are nothing but these things. These are attributes. Name and salary are called as what? Attributes.
Attributes.
So is it not initializing the attributes of the class? It is initializing. Therefore, We say that this method is called when an object is created. So that means you will not call the method. Automatically, the init method will be called. As soon as an object is created, the init method is called. So now you go to the previous program. Here also object is being created, but there is no init method here. Is there init method here?
No.
So if init method is not there, it will not be called. If it is there, then only it will be called. Here there is no init method only. There is only one method. Correct? Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So don't come under an impression that init method is must and should. It is not must and should. If you want, you have to put. If you don't want, you can neglect it. So in this program, there is no requirement for a init method at all. When do you require a init method? You require a init method only when you have to initialize the value of an attributes in that particular class for an object. Only then you have to use init method. For example, I told you banking application, you need to have a init method. Or for example, let us say that a new employee joins Centum. As soon as an employee joins Centum, what happens? An object is created. So init method is called. In that init method, some initialization happens for that particular new employee. Understood? So only when it is needed, you are going to use the init method. If init method is not needed, you ignore it. But if the init method is there, then it will be called when an object is created. If init method is not there, then no constructor will be called. Automatically, the methods will be called using the object name dot method name. That is the basic syntax for calling a method or a function in Python. Understood? Okay. Now, see here. Init is a reserved method in Python classes. It is called a constructor in object-oriented terminology. This method is called when an object is created from a class and it allows the class to initialize the attributes of the class. So whatever attributes are there for the class, all the attributes of the classes will be initialized using this init method. If you create 10 objects, 10 times the init method is called. If you create 20 objects, for all the 20 objects, init method will be called. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you see what is self. Self represents the instance of a class. By using the self keyword, we can access the attributes and methods of class in Python. It binds the attributes with the given argument. Very, very, very important. Now, this is what I was telling you. What it is doing? It binds the attributes with the given arguments. So, what does this mean? See here. So, this is binding. What is the meaning of binding? When I say self.name is equal to A, what does it mean? The Balu will be bounded with that particular attribute called name. Correct? Is it not binding? Understood or not?
Once more, sir.
See, okay. I will tell you once again. I'll tell you what is binding. So here, suppose if I write like this, we'll go to your C programming only. If I say integer A is equal to 10, what does it mean? The value 10 is bounded to a variable called A. Right?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, if I say self.name is equal to A, the value of this parameter A will be bounded to this particular instance variable or attribute called name.
Name.
That is the meaning of it. What does it mean? Now you understand this statement. So you understand the statement, what is given in the statement. By using the self keyword, it binds the attributes with a given argument. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, one more. Now, don't get confused. It does not have to be named self. You can call it whatever you like, but it has to be the first parameter of any function in the class. Now, this is extremely important, but very, very, very simple to understand. I will tell you what exactly is this. Now here you have written no. Now here in this program you have written no self comma a comma b. Self is not a reserved word in Python. What you can do, you can call this as, I will call this as OK comma a comma b. I can call this as OK comma a comma b. If I'm using OK, so wherever I'm putting self, I have to use OK. Understood?
Yes.
Or I can call it as Gopal comma a comma b. Gopal dot name is equal to a. Gopal dot salary is equal to b. Display underscore employee Gopal. Everywhere I should use Gopal. Self is only a good name to be given. Self means what? Me, current instance. So I'm giving a meaningful name. You can give whatever name you want, but it has to be the first parameter of a function. You cannot say a comma b comma self. It is not correct. Self should be the first parameter followed by any number of other parameters. Understood? Now suppose if you say something like this, OK, a comma b comma OK, that is wrong because OK is coming at the last. No, it has to come in the first. So the instance of an object should always come as a first parameter in your Python method. Okay, it cannot come in the middle or it cannot come in the last. So that is the syntax and thumb rule of your definition of methods in Python. So that is what I have mentioned in this slide here. So you can see here what I have written. It does not have to be named self. You can call it whatever you like, but it has to be the first parameter of any function in the class. Okay, so this is what you mean by self in Python. Understood?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think it's too much for today. You will stop here. What you can do is you can execute this program in your laptop once. Okay, after the class, see the output, and tomorrow we will see what are class variables. We will proceed further. So I hope you are getting the hold of object-oriented programming. You're understanding, no? Object-oriented programming step by step.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Initially, it is a little difficult. Okay, it is like swimming. Okay, once you swim, once you dive off inside, no, then you will start swimming. Don't worry. So diving only is a problem. So I'll make you dive. Don't worry. So don't. If you have any doubts, you can clarify those doubts with me in the next class. But what I would suggest is just recap once, just visualize once, recap once, revise once, so that you will understand the concepts better. You always remember one thing. You should know the concepts very well. Forget about the programming language. See, if you know object-oriented programming concept, the same constructor is there in C++ also. The same constructor is there in Java also. The same constructor is there in Python. The same constructor is there in C# also. So constructor means the functionality is the same. Constructor is a function, it is called when an object is created. But how do you call a constructor is little different in Python, little different in C++, little different in Java. But the concept is the same. For example, I want to wish good morning in English. In English, it is good morning. Okay. In Sanskrit, it is Shubhodaya. In Kannada, it is Shubhadina. What do you call in Bengali?
Suprabhat.
See, the concept is the same, but only thing is implementation is different. Okay, so once you know the concept, you can easily learn the implementation later. Okay, so I told you, I gave you an example. It is like driving a car. See, once you know how to drive 800, you can drive an Alto, you can drive an Innova. Only thing is you should know what is the concept of driving a car. So concept should be very clear. Then understanding the syntax of the language is always secondary. But if concept itself is not clear, then you will find a lot of problems in implementation. So be very clear with the concepts. You can learn whichever programming language you want, you can learn. Okay, so concentrate on that. Okay, so saying this